Andre Cacciatore of Nesson.com with Matt Perino of UFC.com. We're in beautiful Los Angeles, California, right in front of the Staples Center, and also in front of a fantastic piece of art. Shaquille O'Neal is hanging behind us right now. I don't know how that thing is holding up, but we're here to break down UFC 214, which is this Saturday about let's say 30 minutes south of here in Anaheim, California at the Honda Center. We just wrapped up the press conferences for the 3 title fights. Matt, initial takeaways?
Well, first of all, I'll say it's fitting to be amongst these legends, these statues, because we have one massive main event, UFC 214, Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier, the rematch, something that we've been waiting for. And, you know, these guys have been together so much. I mean, there's been 5 scheduled bouts. They've only fought once. This will be the 2nd time they fought. And there's a lot that they've already done. They've been through it all. They've said all that they need to say, and now we just need them to fight. I thought that was interesting today. It felt like Daniel Cormier took specific exception to Jon making light of his weight issues going into UFC 210. It seemed to really spark them. They had a little bit of an exchange. Cormier said he was going to come across and slap Jones, and Jones basically dared him to. They moved on pretty quickly. It was an intense stare down. We didn't hear a lot from the two, from the co-main and Cyborg and Tanya, but with a fight of this magnitude, I mean, a lot of people are talking about this fight being the highest level title fight in MMA history. I mean, you know, the other fights on the card, as stacked as this is, are going to kind of fall by the wayside. Yeah,
I agree with everything you just said, and you know, things definitely got heated with the Cormier and Jones. Of course, Jones calling Cormier the undisputed 206.2-pound champion, referring to the UFC 210 towel gate. But you know, I think Jones really looks like he looks very remorseful about everything in his past. He looks so focused. He looks so hungry. I think this bodes very well for Jon Jones. I mean, he's had a lot of time to think about what he's done, and I think the 1-year suspension kind of helps him in this case. I don't think being away from the sport for over a year is really going to hurt him. He just looks ready. He looks ready. I think it's going to be a quick fight. You mentioned when we were talking about this, Jones opened as a -150 favorite.
Yes.
I
mean, he won the first fight. It's ballooned up to -250 now. And you look at all the factors, and it makes sense. I mean, the guy is adding a dimension to his game. He's talked so much about becoming a blue belt jiu-jitsu fighter. He already is one of the most dynamic strikers in the history of this game, the most creative. He has so many weapons. And Daniel Cormier, the Olympic wrestler, Jones kind of schooled him in the wrestling in the first go-around. So the confidence level is there. He is 10 years younger than Cormier. I mean, a lot favors Jones. But listen, Daniel Cormier, so much pressure on him, but so much to lose. He doesn't want to lose to Jon Jones twice. He knows what he has to do. He's done everything he can to prepare for this fight. If anybody's going to beat Jones, this is Clash of the Titans. These are the 2 best 205ers of all time, and Daniel Cormier has made a case to be one of the top 5 greatest of all time, despite the Jones decision loss. So, great fight. Very excited.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Cormier is no slouch at all, but you say there's a lot of pressure on Cormier. I mean, I think there's just as much of pressure on Jones. I mean, if he loses this fight, it's you know, a lot of questions come up. You know, did that 1-year layoff hurt him? And is he done? I don't know. Bunch of questions come. And I think, you know, you can't ignore the height and reach advantage for Jones either. I think, you know, that it's a huge advantage for Jones.
We saw it again today. He towers over DC. 12-inch
so much
reach
bigger
advantage.
than he is.
Yeah, it's significant.
And he's hungrier, I think, coming off that suspension, as I mentioned earlier. And the youth factor too. You know, he's in his athletic prime. I would say for any athlete, being in that, you know, late 20s, early 30s, you know, you're not a young guy anymore, so you don't have any of those, you know, young athlete jitters or whatnot. He's in the peak of his prime, and I think, you know, first round. I know you didn't agree with me when I said this. First round, Jones is gonna finish Cormier. I don't know. That's not Jones's style in the past. He's more of a slow starter, but I think he's so hungry and so determined, ready to win his life back, as he said in the UFC 214 promo. I think he's dead serious about that. I think being a champion for him, he made an interesting quote. He said, a champion without a belt is like a knight without a sword. That's a powerful quote when you think about that.
It is.
It's a very powerful quote.
I like where your head's at, Andre, but don't discount Daniel Cormier. I mean, the toughness, the championship lineage of this guy. The guy has been a winner everywhere he's been. It's going to take a little while for Jones to get him out. I agree. I'm expecting him to go hard for a finish, and I'm leaning towards picking Jones in this fight. But to say that it's going to be a first-round finish, I mean, that's really, in my opinion, going way out on a limb. Something that, you know, for Jones, hasn't finished a fight since 2013. And the last guy he finished was Vitor Belfort. So, Chael Sonnen as well. Excuse me. But I think what we have here is a very important title fight. I love the discussion about how high level, the most high level fight. You have two of the most decorated fighters in MMA meeting in the premier MMA event of the summer.
Yeah, absolutely the premier MMA event of the summer. I mean, people always talk about the whole McGregor. This is it. This is awesome, and I really can't wait for it. It's going to be fantastic. But I'm not discounting Cormier at all. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I just can't ignore, first of all, the physical advantage that Jones has, and now the fact that that guy's hungry. He wants to. He's ready to go out there and win what he believes is his. And again, that quote, I love it. It's going to go on his gravestone. I think a champion without a belt is like a knight without a sword, and that, you know, he's going to go with that mentality and finish this in the first. Okay, maybe I'll say maybe second round, but it's going to be an early finish. Let's move down the card now in the co-main event. You know, Tyron Woodley, it seems like time and time again, every time he defends his belt, the guy is overshadowed by another bigger fight. And how do you think that affects him coming into this fight?
What do you mean?
Like the fact that, you know, he's not the main event, he's the co-main event.
Well, I think he's talked about it. He's liked it. He's building his legacy. That's what he feels. And he's happy to kind of play second fiddle, let the attention be on Jones. Cormier, he'll come in on Saturday night, steal the show. That's what he's hoping to do. I mean, you think back just a couple fights ago, after a weird couple fights with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the stylistic matchup maybe didn't make for the sexiest fights, even though that first fight was great.
Yeah.
You think back to the way that he finished Robbie Lawler, who we'll talk about later, and this guy is a must-see fighter. He's taking on Damian Maia, a guy that, from a stand-up perspective, could be in big trouble in this fight.
Right.
You know, he's going to obviously try to get the fight to the ground, but standing up while they're there, Tyron Woodley is the much better, more dangerous fighter, and I think that he's just confident and he's kind of letting things play out. I sensed today and leading up to this fight kind of a calm. Like, Tyron Woodley for a while, you know, he had this thing going on where I felt like he was just never satisfied with anything, didn't think he was getting the kind of run, and all of a sudden I feel like there's been a shift, and he's kind of cool. He's kind of like, I'm going to keep adding these wins together, keep defending this belt, and I think that's a scary thing for the welterweight division.
You mentioned Maia probably wanting to try to get this fight to the ground. Interesting stat, Woodley, 91% takedown defense. He's only been taken down once in his UFC career. How do you think what type of strategy do you think Maia will have to employ, knowing that Woodley's so good at not getting down to the ground?
What's interesting about Maia, and I think that it isn't getting talked about enough, is that he doesn't bring a traditional wrestling background into this fight. He's more of a jiu-jitsu fighter.
Correct.
And because of his jiu-jitsu skills on the ground, he's really turned into a great MMA wrestler. So the looks that he's going to be providing, the way that he gets guys down to the ground, I don't know if traditionally that's going to be the kind of looks Tyron Woodley would get on a wrestling mat, per se. He's sneaky. He likes to disguise it. He likes to kind of, you know, put his striking out there. His striking game has evolved plenty over the course of his career. He's no slouch standing up either. But I think that he's going to, you know, implement a game plan. The guy has been here before. It's been how many years? Almost a decade since he fought Anderson Silva for the title at 185. The guy has seen it all. He's not afraid of anything. And I think that he's been waiting for 7 wins in a row. Yeah, he's been dying for this opportunity. He's got it. It's all about taking advantage of that opportunity on the night.
Now, that said, who do you think is going to win this fight?
I'm going to go with Tyron Woodley.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Tyron Woodley.
You just praised Maia for 10 minutes.
I love Damian Maia. I think he's going to give him a hell of a fight.
Okay.
His toughness is off the charts, but I just think that the explosion and the considerable advantage when they're standing, which is factoring that takedown defense, even with Maia, who's going to try to change things up and fool him, I'm going with Tyron Woodley.
I have to agree with you as well. And I think it'll be, just as you said, it'll be a tight fight between both of these guys. Again, stylistically, I think they kind of complement each other, where it will be a longer fight where they're both battling each other to the very end. I think it goes the distance. I think Woodley's ability to take down defense is off the charts. He's fantastic. I think he can keep the fight standing up. And a Maia supporter might say, well, prior to this Masvidal fight, Maia was only hit 13 times in 4 fights. That's unbelievable. You really think of 13 significant strikes in 4 fights. But then in the Masvidal fight, he ate 39 significant strikes. So I think, you know, he could get hit. Woodley will be able to keep the fight standing up and take down Maia down the, goes the distance. He'll win the fight, defend his belt once again. So now, third title fight. This one is Vegas sportsbook wise. It seems like a huge mismatch. We have Chris Cyborg minus 1100 against Tanya Avenger plus 700 for the women's featherweight title belt. Is Vegas's assessment of this fight accurate?
Definitely. I mean, Chris Cyborg is the most dominant fighter, arguably, other than John Jones maybe, in MMA history. I mean, she lost her first fight when she was just transitioning over from Muay Thai to MMA. Then she's just been on a tear. I mean, to the point where people are literally scared of her. I mean, you talk about people like, you know, she basically scared Jermaine Durand and me out of the division completely. Yeah. So I think that the line's right, but I love Tanya Avenger. I love her as a fighter. I love her as a person. I think that she embodies what it means to be a fighter. She's tried to get the Cyborg fight. Even as a 135 pounder, she's going to be undersized. For years, she tried to step in and fight her in Invicta. She just, even today, talking about it, you don't get a sense of any fear, any worry. She is confident in her abilities to make this a dog fight, to get in there, make things nasty, maybe get Cyborg down to the ground, test her down there. But her toughness is going to come into play here. If you're not tough against Cyborg, when you feel that those initial shots that she brings, the power that she brings, then you're going to be out of there pretty quick. And I think I like Tanya as an opponent for Cyborg. Well,
Cyborg, 15 of her 17 wins have come via knockout. Do you think if Avenger is able to just take this the distance, it'll be a win for her? Just kind of just shock the world. You know, again, plus 700 underdog.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good
point.
point.
Taking the distance, I think that's, you know, she can make a name for herself like that.
It's interesting you say that, though, because I feel like envisioning this fight, if this goes 25 minutes, you wonder about, has Cyborg's conditioning ever really been tested like that?
Right.
She is a big fighter. She cuts a lot of weight. You talk about getting into those later rounds, we could see her start to tire a little bit. Yeah. And in that case, you know, Tanya Avenger, a grinder, a wrestler at heart, in those later rounds is when she's going to be at her strongest. So, yes, definitely, I agree with you, but I think that, talk about going in the 4th or 5th round, and I think the advantage slips over to Tanya.
I agree with you 100%. And you know what? If I'm a betting man, which I might be, I wouldn't mind putting $100 on Avenger. It's a great payoff, $700 in return. Why not? I mean, let me tell you something. Again, Avenger, 5 of her last 6 wins have been finishes. So she's the type of person who's going to try to finish you and maybe take it to the ground against, as you mentioned. Take Cyborg to the ground, test her grappling skills, and finish it down there. Who knows? Anything can happen. I got my money. I think Cyborg's going to win.
Listen.
But I wouldn't mind putting some money on because of those crazy odds.
You're right. Anything can happen.
You're telling me there's a bigger chance that Conor McGregor upsets Floyd Mayweather than Avenger upsetting Cyborg. That's what the odds say right now.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. We're in Los Angeles. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal is hanging from a building.
I don't know how that's possible.
Yes, but anything is possible.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Speaking of Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, you want to talk about someone who put down a huge bet on Conor McGregor.
I know. I just saw yesterday that somebody put a ticket, $150,000 on Conor as a 4-to-1 dog to pay out somewhere close to $650 grand.
Wow,
it's amazing, man. I mean, Conor just, you know, he's able to motivate people in these crazy ways to believe in him. It's amazing. It's kind of how it's his whole story. I mean, you also saw the story that a movie's going to be coming out about him.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, the guy is so impressive. We were just talking about a little bit before this is another member of the media he was asked, how did Conor become such a huge sensation? And it's the belief, man. Yeah. It's the belief and the way that he makes everybody around him, fans included, believe in him. And listen, I said this from the start. To me, it's not about can Conor McGregor win. It's about what if he wins.
Yeah.
Because if by some miracle, by some chance, by some Holly Holm finishing Ronda Rousey, calamity of a performance, you know what I mean? Something crazy for this to happen. August 27th, the world changes. What does Floyd Mayweather do? What does he do if he loses this fight? 49-0. Every boxer.
Rematch in the octagon.
No, that will never happen. I can tell you that right now. I can't imagine he will put his life in jeopardy.
Will never happen.
Here's the thing.
Put his life in jeopardy?
Life in jeopardy.
Wow, okay.
Because Conor said it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that fight could get sanctioned in an octagon because this is a different game. This is a different world. We're talking about the difference between a boxing bout and a fight. Pretty much anything goes. You can get strangled, you can get kicked, you can get punched, you can get elbowed. Once you feel that your first elbow and it really rocks your whole system, there's nothing like it. I mean, Floyd would be so in over his head, it just wouldn't be good.
Listen, you're so right about him able to just make people believe in him. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a lottery ticket. Why do people go play the Powerball or the Mega Millions? They're not going to win. You paid that $10 to get a Mega Millions ticket. The reason why you do it is because what if I hit that and I win $400 million? That's why people are so into Conor McGregor. It's because that's why people buy lottery tickets. That's why people love that huge upset. It's just people love seeing low probability events happen. It's and this is what it is. This is what Conor McGregor winning is, and people are fascinated by it, and I love it. And let me tell you one more thing about Conor McGregor. He's done so much great trash talking throughout his career, but what he did with that CJ Watson jersey, and then Draymond Green thinking he was trolling him wearing his number 23. That was unbelievable. How was McGregor responding to him? He's like, you should do some research. This is about CJ Watson.
He's always steps ahead, man. He's always steps ahead. He plans himself out. He studied the fight game, and it's what's allowed him to dominate it so much. I mean, I'm excited for that fight, and there's another fight I'm excited for. And it's this Saturday night. 3 title fights, and then we got another crazy fight. Former champion Robbie Lawler returns to take on Cowboy Cerrone. This is your, besides the title fights, this is your fight to watch on this card.
Yeah,
how excited are you for this one?
Again, Cowboy, just the fact this was supposed to be in Vegas, in UFC 213, he had that.
UFC 205 too. It was originally scheduled for.
Correct. Yeah, I forgot about that. And then now we see Cerrone coming back. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully he can put on a good show. The guy is a fan favorite for a reason. He's just so exciting to watch, and I want him to get back on the win column. I feel like his last time when he fought, he might have came back into the octagon too quickly. He lost. The guy loves to fight. He loves activity. How can you not like that? So I'm excited to see what he does here and maybe get back himself into title consideration down the road. Robbie Lawler will be a big win for him. I know Pat Miletich doesn't agree with me there. Doesn't think that Lawler fighting Cerrone's, but it's going to be a good fight.
It's a win-win for everybody.
I don't agree with Miletich.
These two are fan favorites. These two come to fight every time. I feel like you're looking for fights that are can't miss, gonna deliver. You talk about matchmaking, putting certain guys together. This is a fight that was, destined to happen, right? I mean, two just premier strikers finally in the same weight class. We got to see it. We got to, and we're going to Saturday night. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's just star-studded card. And at the press conference today, let's just talk quickly about one more big bit of news. I guess is news. Dana White announced it at the press conference. The winner of the Damian Maia-Tyron Woodley fight will be fighting GSP. What was your initial reaction when you heard that? I know you personally don't think he's ever going to fight again.
I wouldn't even say that. It's more so like, not that he won't fight again, but just like, I don't even want to get excited about it at this point until it's there. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about this. It's kind of like, you talk about Jones and Cormier. We've done this dance so many times. Well, we've done the GSP dance so many times. I mean, Dana White always talks about it. When a fighter starts talking about retirement, it's usually a good idea to retire. And you think back, I mean, GSP had that, probably the worst win of his career when he got really beat up by Johnny Hendricks, decided to retire, step away for a while. But once you think about that and you get a little life outside, this game is for young men. You know what I mean? And which I guess is a contradiction considering the champion that's headlining this weekend is 39 years old, Daniel Cormier. But traditionally speaking, I wonder how much George St. Pierre really wants to fight. He's done so much. He'll always be a legend. What more could he add to his You know what I think? Maybe a fight with Conor McGregor would be something worth coming back for. But yeah, Tyron Woodley said it. Like, does GSP really want to fight Tyron Woodley? I don't know.
I think it's I agree with you. It's just it's weird, and it's one of those things where it's like I won't really believe it until I see it. I mean, we had an announced fight. They did a whole press conference with GSP and Bisping. They did a press conference for it, and that didn't end up happening either. So, Matt, what do you think of an announcement like that from Dana White does for other people in that class. We're vying for a title shot, and all of a sudden he comes out and says some guy who hasn't fought in 3-4 years is going to get one.
No, I have no problem with it, and specifically in this division. Here's why. You had Wonder Boy, who was like the clear contender. You could probably do maybe the winner of Robbie Lawler versus Cerrone for the title, maybe.
Yeah.
But Robbie just got knocked out in the first round by Tyron Woodley. So I think that if there was a bunch of contenders, like we talk about 185 situation with Weidman, Romero, Rockhold, all those guys kind of in the mix there for a title shot, it would be a little bit. It was a little bit more. Fans, I think, had a little bit more of an issue just inserting GSP. But there, I mean, Wonder Boy lost twice. He was the #1 contender. Maia's getting his title shot now. He was also another top contender. Then you're talking about maybe Jorge Masvidal, who I think is probably like a win away. I mean, he just lost to Damian Maia. You're not going to get a title shot off a loss usually. So I think that it makes sense. The timing's a little bit better. But like I said, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can fly with that. Good. You convinced me. I like that. Thank you very much for that. But you know what? UFC 214 is this Saturday night. We just covered it all. But stay tuned throughout the week on UFC.com and NESN.com for analysis, for video, for everything. See you Saturday at Honda Center.